has campaigned in that seat. Peter Dutton, of course, loses his job, and there is now a search for a new leader.
Unfortunately, the leader was the least charismatic, camera-friendly, people-friendly individual that I can recall probably in my entire life.
Australia has spoken, an emphatic win for Labor.
Australians have chosen a majority Labor government.
Look, it is a real low moment for the coalition. There is no doubt about that.
The first shock for me, I must say, it was I was quite surprised at the level of the millennials that 29 to 40. Well, really going back to really 25. I'll take the bands out for a moment. 25 to 40 age group that really supported Labor, and even the younger generation that supported Labor. Now they're the voters that have never seen hard times. They've never seen the good or the bad with the Liberal Party. They've voted probably on the back of comfort, security from what they've seen in the United States, felt that the country did okay coming out of COVID, and the handouts have been there and voted that way. The impact, of course, from the Labor Party win for someone like me who's a capitalist is a concern, because the superannuation system now, we feel that they're coming after that. There's in excess of $4 trillion in that pot. I think they'll come after the tax on earnings from 15 to 20. That'll move to 20%. For anyone under 60 years of age, I think the vesting ages will be pushed out from 60 to 62 and a half, 62 and a half, right up to 65. So there'll be more people that have to work longer. GST will be inevitably have to go to 12%. But I think from mum and dad, the key surprise was the younger generation, which was surprising, that have gone to flight to safety and comfort. Didn't help that obviously the Liberal Party, their representation was meek. Labor were better on the ground through the campaign. They had better relationships, they're better on the ground than the Liberal Party by far. The Liberal Party had no real ground movement. It was very top end and not hard hitting. And unfortunately, the leader was the least charismatic, camera-friendly, people-friendly individual that I can recall probably in my entire life, I think. So it was, they had so many things going against them. And in fact, Albanese, in my opinion, is, in my world, not a hard candidate to beat at the lectern. And so disappointing for us being, obviously being a Liberal supporter, but at the same time, you've got to take your hats off that Labor played an unbelievable game, a great campaign, better on the ground, resonated with more people, and invariably that's why they won. In the area of retirement planning, that's a big concern for the banks, big concern for the institutions, how they keep changing the rules. Labor are renowned for that. Shorten was instrumental in that when he was finance minister, and we wanted to see an end to any entrepreneurial flair, commissions, incentives, performance fees. He wanted that ousted when he was running, and so they have it's a real Marxism overtone now with the Labor Party when you talk about finance and money. And I don't say that with other things, but certainly in my space, they have been. It is a Marxism, and all should be equal. That, in my opinion, that tends to breed weakness in nations, and not having a competitive element, I think, is dangerous. So I think for investors, the key takeaways are the unrealised gains. What does that look like? Where are the triggers? Mum and dad investors out there, well, they're not carrying any real major debt, thankfully, and their interest rates now, they're grateful for high interest rates. But for superannuation coming after that money, I think that one thing I'll say in a positive note is that most governments have grandfathered any big changes. I think the people that will be hit, the tax on earnings will be people that are just below 60. And what you may have is unrealised gain. If unrealised gains materialises, you may have unrealised gains in superannuation and pension post 60. The one thing that most people, when you analyse taxation, when you speak to economists or actuaries, is that whether it's Liberal or Labor, that the taxation concessions in this country with superannuation is $51.7 billion, concession that the government loses on super. And those three areas are when you make deductible contributions or concessional contributions going into super, that instead of at the country earning marginal rate or 30%, so it's concessionally taxed at 15% on a contribution. While it's in there, it's either earning 15% on earnings. If it's in allocated pension, it earns 0. And on the way out, if you happen to be over 60, it's tax-free. So the revenue that's lost by previous governments, and in fact Liberals were instrumental in that, and now they're trying to claw back and look back on who came up with that bright idea, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, because now we need that money. So where do you fill that gap? And then the war chests of superannuation now. When I first started the industry, I remember starting that the self-managed super funds and retirement savings was 300 million. That's how long ago that was, 1990, 89, and now it's over 4 trillion. So that seems to be the simple, obvious choice to go to. And then you've got, the super will be the first stop. GST is a harder one to sell, but certainly then real estate. So states have been replenished their coffers through land tax, but property will be the next one, make no mistake about that. GST is a hot potato. I think it has to go to 12. It's the lowest in the world. It's been at 10% since 2000, July 2000, and Howard introduced it. So getting back to your question, in closing, that the mum and dads over 60, not so much of a concern. It will be a concern if unrealised gains tax is introduced, even in a minor form, in superannuation, crystallising gains in super, and the old holiday home, which most people in Melbourne or Sydney have got a holiday home somewhere. I think 1 in 3 of our clients in our retail department have a holiday home. They will certainly be, they've been clipped on land tax. The unrealised gains will come in some shape or form for them as well. So a big concern with unrealised gains. Well, at the same time, a positive but also a negative. Having that ease to be able to move and wave a wand either way is a concern. I mean, on those things, the things I've just mentioned earlier, is it better to have some sort of adversary side and something that's combative, and also that's something that actually then contests that, or free rein. I mean, look at Trump, and there's a lot of things I'm positive about what he's doing. I don't think a lot of people understand what he's doing. I think there'll be better outcomes, and just wait and see. But he now has free rein for the tariffs. No one blocked that. He just introduced the tariffs and rattled the world. Well, here, I'd probably, when you start talking about the things they're talking about in unsettling superannuation investment properties and the retirees, the baby boomers that have actually been the backbone of the economy, they hold the money. The XY generation don't hold any money. A bit of a concern. Not pushing back. I mean, and the same sort of pushback when you had when Shorten and the likes and even Rudd tried to bring in the imputation, the franking credit, try to remove that, and capital gains tax removal and the concessions on that, that just got knocked right out. So No, I'm concerned about on those issues. I think that, you know, not that we wanted a hung parliament, but them putting those things through quickly without any pushback, I think is a risk.